He thought that marrying a 70-year-old woman in a wheelchair would make him rich. But what happened next completely shattered his expectations and transformed his life forever. From the very beginning, his plan was simple and calculated. Find an elderly woman with considerable wealth, charm her, marry her, and secure his financial future. He believed money would fix everything: his debts, his insecurities, his longing for freedom. He was convinced that happiness could be bought, and that love was just a tool to get what he wanted. Many people fall into this illusion thinking material wealth is the key to fulfillment. But countless psychological studies have shown that beyond meeting basic needs, money does not correlate strongly with long-term happiness. He found her through a mutual acquaintance, a woman in her 70s, wheelchair-bound due to a degenerative illness, but still elegant and full of life in her eyes. Her name was Eleanor. She had a history of success in business, a sprawling estate, and no immediate family to inherit her fortune. In his mind, she was the perfect target. He quickly set his plan in motion: flowers, dinners, flattery, and constant attention. He made her feel seen, appreciated, and loved, or at least that was his intention. But what he didn't realize is that Eleanor had lived a full life. She had loved, lost, and learned the difference between genuine affection and manipulation. Older individuals often develop what psychologists call emotional intelligence maturity, the ability to read subtle social cues and detect deception with greater accuracy than younger adults. Nevertheless, she welcomed his company, knowing the risk but choosing to live with openness rather than fear. As their relationship deepened, he maintained his emotional distance. His mind was focused on the end goal: marriage, inheritance, and freedom. He believed that once they were married, it would just be a matter of time before her health deteriorated, and he could claim her estate. But life rarely unfolds according to selfish plans. In the early months of their marriage, he was cold, almost mechanical. He fulfilled his obligations, took her to medical appointments, arranged for caretakers, and even sat with her during her treatments. But all the while, he kept telling himself, just hold on, soon you'll be free and rich. However, something unexpected began to happen. As he spent more time with Eleanor, he was exposed to her wisdom, her humor, and her resilience. Despite her condition, she woke up every morning with gratitude, read voraciously, and kept herself informed about the world. She would often tell him, "The body may weaken, but the mind can always stay strong." That sentence stuck with him. She shared stories of her travels, her youthful dreams, and the love she had lost decades ago to illness. The more she shared, the more he realized that she wasn't a victim. She was a survivor. Every wrinkle on her face was a testament to a life lived with courage. Psychological research shows that narratives of resilience often inspire empathy and reflection in others. That is what began to happen to him. His conscience, once numb and silenced by greed, started to awaken. He found himself lingering after their conversations, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. One evening, as they sat in the garden, Eleanor looked at the sunset and said, "You know, life isn't about how much time you have left. It's about what you do with the time you have." That simple, profound statement hit him harder than he expected. He began reflecting on his own life. Here he was, young and healthy, yet consumed by bitterness, greed, and emptiness. Eleanor, by contrast, had limitations imposed by her body, but her spirit was free, joyful, and fulfilled. This triggered what psychologists refer to as an existential crisis, a moment when an individual confronts the meaninglessness of their pursuits and begins to reevaluate their values. It often occurs during significant life transitions or after prolonged periods of disconnection from authentic emotions. His days became filled with internal conflict. The plan he had so carefully constructed now seemed hollow and cruel. He watched Eleanor's determination as she fought through pain to attend charity events, organize community activities, and mentor young entrepreneurs who sought her advice. She wasn't just a woman waiting to die. She was a woman determined to live fully and purposefully despite her circumstances. The guilt began to consume him. He started helping her with more than just basic needs. He would read her favorite books aloud, accompany her to her favorite art exhibitions, and sit with her for hours just talking about philosophy, history, and life. She was, in every sense, a remarkable human being, and he couldn't deny the growing admiration he felt, but with that admiration came shame. He realized that he had entered her life under false pretenses, and yet she had given him nothing but kindness and trust. This cognitive dissonance, the clash between his actions and his emerging values, led to increasing anxiety and self-loathing. One day, after a particularly emotional conversation about love and loss, he couldn't hold it in any longer. He retreated to the guest room, closed the door, and broke down in tears. It was in that moment of vulnerability that he finally understood something essential. Life isn't measured by what we acquire, but by who we become. He thought back to all the moments he had wasted chasing money, manipulating situations, and building walls to protect himself from authentic connection. Eleanor had dismantled those walls without even trying, simply by being herself. This realization marked the beginning of his transformation. He began researching more about the psychology of happiness and fulfillment. He stumbled upon studies conducted by positive psychologists like Martin Seligman, which demonstrated that authentic relationships, acts of kindness, and a sense of purpose are the strongest predictors of life satisfaction, not wealth or status. These insights resonated deeply with him. Eleanor had lived her life according to these principles, and despite her physical limitations, she radiated peace and joy. He, on the other hand, had been physically able but emotionally paralyzed by fear and greed. The contrast couldn't be clearer. By now, he had completely abandoned the idea of inheritance. What mattered more was making amends, being present, and honoring the woman who had unknowingly led him to confront his own brokenness. This was no longer a story about deception and greed. It was becoming a story of redemption, of learning that it is never too late to change, to grow, and to seek forgiveness. And that's when he made the most important decision of his life. After that powerful moment of clarity, he realized the only way to truly honor Eleanor and himself was to stop living for greed and start living with purpose. He decided to share his true feelings with her. No more lies, no more pretending. When he finally opened up, Eleanor looked at him with gentle eyes and said, "It's never too late to start again. Life forgives those who are honest with themselves." Her forgiveness wasn't just words, it was a profound lesson in compassion and resilience. Psychologists explain that forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, is critical for healing emotional wounds and releasing toxic guilt. He began to understand the depth of Eleanor's strength, despite the physical challenges and the isolation that often comes with aging and disability. She had cultivated an inner fortress of acceptance, kindness, and gratitude. Studies in gerontology suggest that older adults who develop such emotional resilience often experience higher life satisfaction and lower rates of depression, regardless of their physical health. Their relationship shifted from one based on calculation to one built on authentic connection. He started helping Eleanor with her charitable work, organizing fundraisers, and supporting causes she cared about deeply. Through these activities, he witnessed firsthand how purpose-driven actions bring genuine happiness, something money could never buy. One striking truth he learned is that humans have an innate need for meaning and contribution. Viktor Frankl, a renowned psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, argued in his book Man's Search for Meaning that finding meaning in life even amid suffering, is the primary human motivation. This wisdom resonated with him deeply as he saw Eleanor embodying this every day. More surprising to him was the way Eleanor's estate no longer seemed like a prize or a goal, but a responsibility. He realized that true wealth lies not in possessions, but in the ability to impact others positively. Eleanor's legacy was not just her assets, but the lives she had touched and improved. As the months passed, he noticed his own mental health improving. The anxiety and emptiness he once carried began to dissolve, replaced by a sense of peace and fulfillment. Neuroscientific research supports this. Engaging in altruistic acts releases neurotransmitters like dopamine and oxytocin, which enhance mood and foster feelings of social connection. He also reflected on how his initial greed had blinded him to the real treasure in front of him, Eleanor's humanity. The superficial pursuit of wealth had almost cost him a chance at genuine love and growth. This aligns with philosophical teachings from Stoicism, which emphasize focusing on what is within our control, our character and actions, rather than external, uncontrollable factors like money or status. One day, as they sat watching the sunset, Eleanor shared a piece of advice that stuck with him forever. We all have time, but not all of us use it wisely. The richest man is not he who has the most gold, but he who has the most peace. He realized he had wasted too many years chasing illusions. Now he wanted to live intentionally, to build a legacy based on kindness, truth, and purpose. But the story didn't end there. Unexpectedly, Eleanor's health stabilized rather than declined. Medical professionals were amazed at her progress, attributing it partly to her positive outlook and active lifestyle. This reflects research showing that mindset and emotional well-being can influence physical health and recovery. His role shifted again, from a man waiting for an inheritance to a devoted partner supporting her quality of life. They planned trips together, engaged in community events, and even began mentoring young people interested in entrepreneurship. Through this transformation, he learned a valuable lesson. Life's most profound gifts often come disguised as challenges. Eleanor's presence forced him to confront his own flaws, fears, and misconceptions, leading to personal growth and transformation. In psychology, this process is known as post-traumatic growth, where adversity becomes a catalyst for positive change and self-improvement. Though he didn't face a traditional trauma, the upheaval of his life's purpose served a similar function. Now, instead of waiting for an inheritance, he worked alongside Eleanor to create a lasting impact. They established a foundation to support elderly individuals with disabilities, ensuring they received care, companionship, and dignity. This act of giving back filled a void in his soul that money never could. And the greatest irony of all, he found something far more valuable than any fortune: authentic love, deep connection, and a renewed sense of purpose. He came into Eleanor's life thinking he could use her, but in truth, she saved him. Her legacy wasn't the inheritance he sought, but the lessons she taught him. That wealth is measured by the depth of our relationships, the kindness we show, and the courage to change. He no longer saw her as a means to an end, but as the woman who transformed his life. The man who once chased greed now lives with gratitude, and that truly is the greatest inheritance anyone can receive. As time passed, their story became more than a personal transformation. It evolved into a powerful example that inspired many around them. News of their journey spread, how a man who once married for money found real treasure in love, purpose, and compassion. It sparked conversations about what truly matters in life, challenging societal norms focused on material wealth. He started speaking publicly about his experience, sharing how greed had almost destroyed his chance at happiness and how embracing vulnerability and authenticity opened doors to fulfillment. His talks highlighted psychological truths, Happiness is more linked to social connections and meaningful activities than to income or possessions. Research confirms this. Studies by positive psychologists like Martin Seligman and Sonia Lyubomirsky show that engaging in acts of kindness, nurturing relationships, and cultivating gratitude are among the strongest predictors of well-being. He also stressed the importance of emotional intelligence, being aware of one's own feelings and those of others, and how it can transform relationships. Emotional intelligence, as Daniel Goleman explains, is critical for empathy, conflict resolution, and building trust. Their foundation, dedicated to elderly care and empowerment, flourished. They raised funds to provide wheelchairs, home modifications, and social programs. Through this, he witnessed the ripple effect of compassion. One act of kindness multiplied into community-wide change. He found joy in small moments, a smile from someone helped, a thank you note from a family, seeing seniors regain independence. These moments reshaped his understanding of success. It wasn't about accumulation, but contribution. Eleanor, now regarded as a pillar in her community, shared wisdom born of decades of experience. She became a mentor for younger women facing challenges, teaching resilience and self-worth. Her story broke stereotypes about aging and disability, showing that life's value is not diminished by physical limitations. Together, they exemplified how partnership rooted in respect and genuine care transcends superficial motives. Their love story, once built on greed, matured into a beacon of hope, proving transformation is possible at any stage. Philosophically, this echoes the Stoic idea that obstacles are opportunities. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Their challenges became stepping stones to a richer life. He learned humility, patience, and the power of presence. These virtues, often overshadowed by society's emphasis on speed and achievement, became his guiding principles. On a personal level, he also addressed his past behaviors, greed, manipulation, and selfishness. He sought therapy to understand these patterns, embracing self-awareness as a tool for change. Therapy supports neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, proving that with effort, we can overcome harmful habits and grow emotionally. His transformation inspired those closest to him. Friends and family noticed his shift from materialistic to mindful. His journey became a reminder that it's never too late to change course and align with one's values. Eleanor's story, too, became a symbol of dignity and strength. Despite physical challenges, she never lost her spirit. This challenges common misconceptions about aging, showing that purpose and joy are accessible at every stage. Ultimately, their experience reveals universal truths. True wealth is internal, built from love, kindness, and meaningful impact. Greed blinds us to what really matters. Vulnerability opens the door to connection and growth. Life's greatest gifts often come disguised as hardships. Transformation is possible through honest self-reflection and action. This story is a testament to the human capacity for change. It reminds us all to look beyond surface appearances and seek what truly enriches our souls. The man who once sought riches found a treasure far greater, a life of meaning, surrounded by love and purpose. And that is the legacy worth leaving. In the end, what began as a selfish quest for wealth transformed into a profound journey of the heart. He learned that true riches are not counted in dollars or possessions, but in the depth of connection, the courage to change, and the legacy of kindness we leave behind. Eleanor's story proved that even when life feels limited, the human spirit is boundless. Their story is a timeless reminder. Real inheritance lies not in what we gain, but in what we give, and in the love we share. Along the way,